still feel that front weight bias. This may just look like another 5th generation Chevrolet Camaro, but it's anything but. This is one of 25 that got the Berger treatment, including a supercharger and a bunch of other goodies that we'll cover shortly. But this is a 2011 Chevrolet Camaro SS with that Berger treatment, which cost $22,000 as an option by the dealership, where they added the supercharger, suspension, etc., multiple other goodies, including the blue bow ties, and actually came with a 3-year, 36,000-mile warranty, honored by GM. This is number 1 of 25, and the only one actually produced in silver, and it is for sale currently. You can find more details linked below. Now, of course, the 5th generation Camaro is powered by none other than the LS3 engine. That's a 6.2-liter naturally aspirated pushrod, making 426 horsepower, 420 pound-feet of torque with a 6,500 RPM redline. But this one, again, is supercharged to now make 550 horsepower, 530 pound-feet of torque, and that's made it to a 6-speed Tremec manual transmission. That's the TR6060 with a clutch-type LSD in the rear. Now, this normally weighs around 3,850 pounds with a 52 to 48 front-to-rear weight distribution, but with the Berger treatment, adding the supercharger and such, usually adds roughly 100 pounds to the overall weight. So now we're just shy of 4,000 pounds, right around 3,950. We have strut front and multi-link rear suspension. This is also the last Camaro to actually have hydraulic steering before they switched over to E-Pass. Now, the market value for a stock SS is about $15,000 to $25,000, depending on the example. Now, this, of course, with the Berger treatment is going to be higher. This is also only 1 of 25, so that will be influencing the market value. But since there are so few out there and they're not being sold regularly, it's hard to actually say what that market value is. So what did this Berger treatment actually give you? Well, first of all, this Magnuson 2300 supercharger, also a Sweet Thunder exhaust. You've got these wheels, which are Forgeline SP3P, 20 by 9.5 front and 20 by 11 in the rear. The owner put on these Nitto G2 tires, 275 in the front and 315 section width in the rear. Now, the suspension has received the Pfadt treatment, and my understanding is that it's not actually coilovers. They have the stock dampers, but they changed the springs. They revised the bushings, changed the end links, things like that. The front fascia and the rear tail panel are also matte black for a nod to the big block COPO Camaros of the 60s, and finished off with a hand-painted front and rear bow ties in that prism blue, which I think really stands out, looks sharp. We have a Heft short throw shifter, and as always, additional details can be found down in the description. Very retro interior, very cool. For the 2SS, we have a head-up display, very retro, cool analog gauges, as well as down here. I actually really dig the callback. But the steering wheel, look at how thick the 9 o'clock and 3 o'clock spokes are. You can't actually get your hands comfortably around this. You normally want to be able to wrap a little bit around, but instead you're just kind of holding the steering wheel like this or trying to latch on your index. I think that's actually terrible ergonomics. But it's a Camaro interior. You can see little badge there, the Berger Grand Rapids, Michigan badge, and some additional touches like that throughout the car. And I do like that American cars are definitely built for taller drivers, because a lot of Americans are larger. I'm 6'1", 175 pounds, and I fit in here with no issue. And we are going to double tap the traction to now get it partially off. Oh, there we go. Right off the bat, one of the reasons I love superchargers over turbos is that immediate throttle response. Oh yeah, the rear wants to come out already. Quite lively. Okay, second turn. Now, this actually shares the same platform, the Zeta platform, with the Holden Commodore, so it has a pretty long wheelbase, which means as we're getting the tail out, it's quite progressive. And compared to the contemporary Mustang, which was the S197 at that time, nice easy heel toe, this is about 300 pounds heavier. So the Mustang, already not a lightweight, being 300 pounds lighter than this, but that had a solid live rear axle, whereas this has multi-link independent rear suspension. So weight versus chassis and suspension. Now the steering actually gives you a bit of feedback, hydraulic rack, but there is a bit of play. It's not the most accurate and precise steering. At least the ratio is pretty natural. Maybe slightly a touch on the slower side, but I don't mind that at all. Throws on the shifter are nice and short, tight, and high effort, which actually feels congruent with the rest of the vehicle. Oh, a little bit under damped, so it feels like the spring rates are higher than perhaps stock, but the damping, you get a lot of excess motion over these larger bumps. Let's give you a pull. And you can hear that blower as well as you start getting higher in the rev range. Very cool. But going back to the shifter, you have a bit of this lateral slop that you can see, which feels strange because the rest of the shifter is so tight and high effort between gates. So you have to, it does draw a bit of attention. You don't have to focus too much on it to shift it naturally and to get into the right gate, but it's definitely not quite as automatic as some others. Oh, I love how the rear just comes around so easily. And because of that longer wheelbase and just the way the car is set up, it's actually not, it's not scary to drive. It communicates enough. I always feel like the Camaro chassis have been a step or two above the Mustangs, especially when you start getting to the tighter, more technical curves. You can get this additional communication and confidence. Part of that, especially with these older gens, is going to be the suspension being multi-link in the rear rather than live axle. You can still feel that front weight bias. Very tail happy. I'm enjoying this. I'm enjoying this a lot. But you do feel the car's heft, very much so. It doesn't hide that 3,900 pounds. It is, again, longer wheelbase, so it is more progressive, but you can really feel the heft, especially on these tighter turns, these switchbacks. That engine being in the front, it resists that inertia. It makes it not want to change direction with you. You have to really be patient with it, otherwise you are going to push, get a bit of understeer. But our response here is very direct, because again, supercharged and naturally aspirated engines tend to be so, but the amount of input you need to give might be a little bit more than expected, because remember, a lot of these older cars, the inputs usually required a little bit more effort. They weren't quite as sensitive and quite as sharp. So overall, the inputs are relatively congruent. Again, the shorter throws, higher effort on the shifter, the throttle requiring a little bit more effort as well, and even the steering, which is, you know, moderate in terms of weighting. They do actually work together pretty nicely. Even right there, barely any steering input. The rear is wanting to come around. This car just wants to have fun. Does not take itself too seriously, which I absolutely adore. Yeah, but the spring rate and damping doesn't seem quite as calibrated correctly. You're getting this harsh crashiness over these bumps, but then also excess motion over the larger bumps. Little double clutch heel toe there, effortless, which is my way of testing, you know, inputs, how things come together. If I can double clutch heel toe without issue the first time in a car, as we did here, that tells you that the inputs, I think, are pretty approachable, pretty easy to learn. They don't have a steep learning curve. Again, the rear right there. So playful. And because you have a longer throw to the throttle, you actually have a ton of resolution. My guy, don't cross the double yellows. Come on, guys. Right there again. And the brakes actually have a pretty modern feel to them. they're not, again, overly bitey and overly sharp, but when you get into them, they have a decent firmness. So again, one thing that I always look for when I'm driving a car is how congruent all the inputs are. And here, I'd say it's actually pretty good, especially for a car from 2011. And if I'm being honest, historically, when I've driven various American cars, I feel like the input calibration isn't quite to the same level as, let's say, certain Japanese or certain German cars. But you know, I'm a fan so far. This feels pretty good. Now, it doesn't really excel and stand out in anything, even though this is hydraulic steering, and it has, you know, moderate feedback. The mid-corner loading is not the best, and you're getting decent road texture, but there's also a good amount of play. So the resolution of signal to noise isn't optimal in the steering rack. The transmission is, you know, nice and notchy, but has a little bit of too much lateral slop, and it is high effort in a way that you can't actually shift as quickly as you may otherwise want to. The chassis itself, again, definitely better than the Mustang of the time, even though this is 300 pounds heavier. Yeah, see, a lot of that excess motion over that big bump, and you also get a lot of that initial harshness too. So it's a car that overall is quite well rounded, and it doesn't stand out as being spectacular in any given way. I do think that this pushrod V8 has a lot of character, and by being supercharged, you get that additional oomph. It has plenty of mid-range torque, and it doesn't die off at the top end. And again, a lot of desirable qualities in a car that I think make this well-rounded and a lot of driving pleasure for the price, especially when you consider that, you know, front engine, rear wheel drive character and being more tail happy than, you know, most other cars. It makes it a lot of fun to drive, actually, and quite a bargain in terms of price to smiles. And again, this car is for sale. You can contact the owner via email, linked below. And let me know what you think of this Camaro with the Berger package. And if you want your car reviewed, visit us on jabalandcars.com. Fill out the form on the homepage. I'll be in touch. Much love, my friends, and I'll see you all in that next one.